Okay, I would like to know, Dr. Tuan. Dr. Tuan, are you there? Ah, you are here. Okay, I didn't see you. We can see you? Ah, okay. Thank you.
D'accord, très bien, bah, c'est très bien. Et alors donc, bon bah écoute, moi je suis avec. Et après c'est bon, d'accord, ça marche.
We can see him.
Sinon, ils ne peuvent pas entendre.
Okay. On behalf of, sorry. Okay, you want me to stay here.
It's for the
Okay, on behalf of Vietnam Innovation Network in Europe and IPAC Business School, I am very pleased and honored to have Philippe Arion to present very new. I think that's the first time you present this paper, right? This conference on AI. So, very briefly, I present Philippe Arion. Philippe Arion is a professor at Collège de France, but also at London School of Economics and INSEAD. He graduated from École Normale Supérieure de Cachan in mathematics. That initially he was a mathematician. And then he moved to Harvard University and got there a PhD. He has been assistant professor in Harvard. Yes, in Harvard University. Yeah. In MIT, say. And then you moved to Collège de France to be professor.
I've been a professor at Harvard. I was not assistant.
You have been professor in Harvard.
Yeah.
And then you moved to Collège de France. Philippe is also Doctor Honoris Causa of Stockholm School of Economics and the University of Quebec at Montreal. So I just signed two universities. I think that you have, you are also Doctor Honoris Causa in other university. Yeah. So he got the silver medal of CNRS. CNRS is the French National Center of Scientific Research. So to know more about Philippe, the best way is to go to the internet to type Google and you know, because if I have to explain Philippe, then we have no time for the presentation. Okay, so first I invite Dr. Thang, Vice President of Vietnam Innovation Network in Europe, to present VIN in Europe.
Yeah.
Dr. Thang, you are there?
Yes, Professor Kung, I'm ready. But could you allow me to?
Okay. So we see you. So please present VIN in Europe.
Okay. Sorry, I was mute. So please allow me to share my screen.
have you a presentation to
You have slides to present?
Yes.
yeah you can share
I need to share my screen.
yeah you can
Give me a
normally
second.
all it's okay normally technically this is the game yeah perfect thank you
Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Excuse me, can you see my share screen?
yeah
Hello?
yeah
Maybe I can move because I'm
Yeah, can you see my share screen?
yeah we can see
Yeah, thank you very much. So, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. So, my name is Thang. It's really an honor for me to be here today, representing the Vietnamese Innovation Network in Europe as the co-host of this important conference on the economic impact of AI. So, as we gather to discuss one of the most transformative technologies of our time, I want to emphasize the critical role that AI can play in driving economic development in Vietnam. So in recent years, our country has made significant strides in embracing technology and AI, stand at the forefront of this evolution. So BNU was founded with a mission to connect Vietnamese innovators, scientists, engineers, entrepreneurs across Europe, fostering cooperation, knowledge exchange, and innovation to support the economic and technological advancements of both Vietnam and European Union. Through our network, we aim to connect Vietnamese business with European markets, enabling them to leverage advanced technology, including AI, to enhance their business models. So we believe that by working together, we can create a vibrant ecosystem that nurtures innovation and drives economic growth in Vietnam. So I will not let you wait long. Please allow me to give a brief introduction about the VNU. So in 2018, Vietnam Prime Minister and one of the scientists launched Vietnamese Innovation Network. The network aims to mobilize resources, expertise, and international experience from Vietnamese experts working in all regions in the world to support Vietnam in the Industrial Revolution 4.0 and the green sustainable economic growth. With innovation and the technology, Vietnam will economically develop fast and sustainably. Fast but sustainable. So the first idea of establishing VNU came during the visit of the president of the National Embassy in Belgium in September 2021. So a month after that, we have our establishment ceremony of Vietnamese Innovation Network in Europe, which organized in Vietnamese Embassy in Berlin, Germany. So the launching ceremony of VNU was in the same year in November with the chairmanship of the Minister of Planning and Investment, Mr. Nguyen Chi Dung. So Vietnam VNU is an abbreviation of Vietnamese Innovation Network in Europe, and we are the largest Vietnamese intellectual organization having its internal network across many countries in Europe and externally connected with other continents globally. So our objective is to gathering Vietnamese intellectuals across Europe to jointly.
Yeah, I think that there is a problem.
He got his back.
Yeah. I think that we have a problem. You have a problem with your sound. Can you verify your micro, please? No, I think your microphone. I think that your microphone is blocked. I have to verify directly.
You turn off the microphone.
Oh, no, sorry.
Yeah, now it's okay.
Now it's okay.
Yeah.
Sorry about this technical. Maybe I start from the beginning. Sorry.
No, not from the beginning. It's possible after the abbreviation. Exactly.
Okay.
Here, it's perfect.
Here is okay.
Light, yeah, it's okay.
So the objective, okay, I'm not on the objective of the network. Okay, so the objective of the network is to gather Vietnamese intellectuals across Europe to promote innovation activities in Vietnam. Also, connecting businesses and nurturing innovative ideas from Vietnamese intellectuals in Europe. And by innovation, we want to affirm Vietnamese position in the future of the global innovation. So the VNU was officially registered in Belgium in 2022 and working as a non-profit organization. So here you can see the list of the members of our executive board, and our president is Dr. Phạm Huy Hoàng. He's currently living and working in Belgium, but unfortunately today he has a very important meeting, so he cannot join us. And we also have different several different departments, included innovation, business development, technologies, finance and HR, and also marketing and communication. So here is some of our activities in the recent years, but basically we have cooperated with organization from Vietnam and also from Europe. So we have made some connection. We do some business to connect Vietnamese and European businesses. So we also having our expert present in many different conferences. So and especially in June 2024 this year, we have successfully organized our first Vietnamese Innovation Day, and in Europe, and we plan to do it annually. So you can see some pictures of from our activities. So here's the meeting and the working with the Minister of Planning and Investment in Belgium, 2022, and the signing ceremony with in the cooperation with between NIC, the National Innovation Center, the Hub Brussels, and BU. In 2023, we have successfully organized a workshop enhancing the cooperation of energy transition towards the Vietnam net zero emission goal by 2050. So it was called organized with the Embassy of Vietnam in Germany. So here you see the list, a picture of some selected startups from Vietnam, which sent to Brussels in the cooperation with Hub Brussels. So it's the picture of our executive board members. We attend the inauguration ceremony of the National Innovation Center in Vietnam in the last October. And we have organized also in France recently with some Vietnamese intellectuals in France. So our future goals is focusing on expanding the network, also promoting the business collaboration, and we also have the long-term human resources development. So here you can find some the list of our partner in Europe and also in Vietnam. Yeah. So you can find for contacting in France. Please contact our head of HR, also country director of France, Mrs. Chen Hami. So unfortunately, today she had to attend the visit of Vietnamese president delegation in Ireland, so she cannot join us. But for the future, she will fully support all the contact. Okay, thank you for your attention. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I invite Maria Josefina Bruna to present IPAG.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Professor Quang Le Van. Thank you for coming at the IPAG Business School, dear Professor Philippe Aguillon. It's a great, great honor for all our academic community. And I am very grateful to Professor Quang Le Van for being such a sponsor of the IPAG's research with positive impact and also internationalization of our research activity. It's a great pleasure to introduce you very quickly our scientific strategy and also our main activities in terms of research and dissemination. Excuse me, small technical problem. Yeah, we have to start presentation with the first slide and not with the end of the presentation. Here. And I think it's okay now. Yeah. No, it's not okay. We have problem with technology. Yeah, it's okay. Now, at the IPAC Business School, we share a strategy of research producing impact on business, organization, society, and pedagogy. Accordingly, we are really committed to produce knowledge able to enlighten the main social, organizational, business, environmental, and also political issues of our postmodern era. Accordingly, we are committed to match our mission, academic mission, to educate managers for fast-changing worldwide environments, producing research, high-level peer-reviewed research, producing an impact on society through outputs, outcomes, and also transfer of methods, concepts, methodologies, but also solutions to the economic sector and industrial activities and industrial actors. To align our mission to train multi-skilled, agile, innovative managers, but also to train the leaders for tomorrow, able to combine the inclusiveness and responsibility, sustainability vision, and also agility in practices. To train leaders for tomorrow, both critical and reflective, continuously engaged in learning, but also grounded in theory and practice, and also open-minded, critical, and humanistic. We have to deliver our job of researchers producing knowledge to share and to contribute to organizational, social, environmental, and economic change. Accordingly, we promote dialogue between research, pedagogy, science, and pedagogy, but also we encourage, we enlighten, and we endorse dialogue between science, pedagogy, business, and society to connect research, teaching, and action, and we are committed to contribute to action change. Accordingly, we endorse a research and development strategy. This research and development strategy designs original, innovative research, as our colleagues, but we try to practice systematic research, structured research through chairs and research axes. We work to develop knowledge both grounded in theory and also in data and empirical investigations, but also to contribute to science through robust, rigorous research being reproducible. And the outputs and outcomes of our research must be transferable to industry and to practices. And hopefully, they have to be actionable to contribute to organizational change and business change. We are committed to disseminate knowledge not only through academic publications, but also through books, chapters, case studies, blended and e-learning modules, and also a lot of teaching materials and institutional and research reports that can empower the IPAG to share knowledge to all. This is our humanistic commitment. We have to share knowledge to all in order to contribute to by enlightenment to organizational social change. Accordingly, we cooperate, and through Professor Quang Le Van, through Professor Stefano Bosi, through Professor Charles-Henri Bessières-Deor, we contribute especially to cooperative, participative, partnership-based, and also open science. It's our main commitment to contribute to organizational change. Very briefly, I will introduce you several venues for research we address at the IPAG Business School. The first of all our academic venues for research is addressing company for tomorrow. It's a promise, it's a challenge, it's our job, fundamentally, to forecast. We are committed to contribute to forecasting of jobs, organizational management in the postmodern era. Accordingly, we connect the renewal, the new management in times of crisis and the era of transitions, cooperating especially with the FNEJ and the CNAM, but also we address the new simultaneous transformations or challenges as inclusion and sustainability, inclusion and digital transformation, or inclusion and artificial intelligence spread and development. Through the European project Rework, led by my friend Manel Gestouli, we addressed the combined challenges of inclusion, diversity, and hybrid work. This is a way to address simultaneously two combined main transformational movements and processes of our postmodern era, and we work with Dr. Scotto and Elmaleh also on these main issues. We address also the new business models, business, social, organizational models of the postmodern companies crossing a job sector-oriented issue and a very grounded managerial approach. Finally, we are committed to develop new methods, and we have to learn from economy, from management, from philosophy, from sociology, from law, in order to be able to assess organizations endorsing a holistic perspective, in order to assess the effective ecosystem and also strategic alignment of organizations, the very important issues of regulations of organizational markets, the very important issues of organizational and collective learning. We are committed to identify new organizations or organizational models contributing to innovation, social innovation, especially looking at inclusive networks, viewed as trust catalyzers, resilience shapers, and hopefully talent boosters through cooperation with companies, especially on the diversity and inclusion topics. We work also on the renaissance shaper or resilience shapers through networks, the role of networks in shaping resilience, the role of collective embeddedness to contribute to resilience and also to contribute to talent management and talent identification. We work also on the inclusiveness through networks and also the role of networks to contribute to social efficiency in the disabled sector, particularly with my friend Marc Rivot and my friend Dr. Marion Polge from University of Montpellier. All these projects are focused on the role of actors and organizations to contribute to change, and also to change at the ecosystemic level, adopting a perspective connecting the economy of regenerative economy and also entrepreneurship. We look with RECICITIS and SCORES, especially with Professor Dominique Bonnet. We work on the circular economy and regenerative economy with also Dr. Cinzia Colapinto. We work on the future of economy, connecting also entrepreneurship and innovation. We work also on the new management issues, the new managers' challenges, especially in circular economy and in small and medium enterprises with the University of Montpellier especially. And we are trying to address also particularly French savoir-faire sectors as luxury, catering, and hospitality, to understand what are the special managerial models in these sectors. Finally, with Professor Andrea Calabro, our great colleague and friend, we will try to understand what is the portrait of the future entrepreneurship and family business having a sustainable and long-term impact. Finally, we are contributing at our modest level to addressing the journey of the journey at the hearth of performance. We are engaged to design and develop methodologies as well as strategic, holistic, process-based, and progressive, critical, to assess the alignment, but also the performance of organizations and companies especially, committed or engaged in the climate, social, or organizational change. Accordingly, we have to contribute to connect social, environmental, and economic performance, especially under the co-leadership of my chair towards an inclusive company and the chair led by my friend and colleague, Professor Hans von Bettenheim, on the quantitative finance and risk management. We have co-organized this conference with Professor Pon-Levan and Viet Nhu with Hans. Finally, we are committed to contribute to understanding the keys of social-environmental efficiency, not performance, efficiency, especially the role of ESG or social or CSR policies in improving social, environmental or social organizational efficiency of organization, especially in banks. And it's an international cooperation, especially with Italy and also Germany. Finally, we're working with Hans on the green and social finance using a great scientific and operational innovation. This is the ESG Cafe platform designed by Hans von Mettenheim and Kinum, supported also by European project Trust Finance. ESG, this is the ESG Cafe delivers an ESG instant rating through news regarding ESG of companies. It's a ESG-oriented news sentiment instant rating of ESG using artificial intelligence. As a conclusion, we are working also on artificial intelligence at our modest level, and we have to learn from our brilliant and well-known colleagues. But our main venues for research is, first of all, this connection, ESG and rating and artificial intelligence. Second one, the ethics of artificial intelligence with my colleague Dr. Faranak Farzaneh and also Dr. Mariam Schalk. We try to connect technological change and ethical issues, especially for pedagogy, working with Ivancity institution. And we are trying also to address these artificial intelligence and deep learning models or algorithm-based models, adopting a very critical approach, addressing the unthinkable of artificial intelligence, and more specifically, the relationship between algorithms and inequalities reproduction in higher education, especially in France. It's a thesis I co-lead with Professor Florence Rodin, and the doctoral student is a colleague, Leila Ouedraogo from the IPAG. This is the sociological pendant, the balanced vision of the more technical dimension. Finally, we are preparing at our modest level entrepreneurs and professionals to address, identify and face the artificial intelligence challenges, opportunities, but also risks and main problems, addressing, especially adopting a human resource management perspective, the impact of artificial intelligence on jobs, businesses, and employability, long-term or not long-term, sustainable, not sustainable employability. But we have to learn from Professor Philippe Aghion, and I am more than honored to share the floor with a so brilliant and inspiring colleague. Thank you so much, Professor. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So can I move? Yeah, let's see, and then I move to the. If I go to the key. Voilà. AIB London. Voilà celui-là. Voilà. Non, parce que je commence et après je passe aux autres. Mais ça va aller très bien. Voilà. Juste voilà. Vous lancez la présentation. Mais ça après c'est juste le début et après je passe aux autres. Hein. D'accord, voilà. Et je le pointeur là-bas qui est. Ah ben voilà, merci beaucoup. C'est bon. Oui. Qu'est-ce que tu veux?
The floor is yours.
Okay. So I just announced the shares, the co-shares. So Dr. Nguyen Tu Anh, you are here? You are there? Yeah. Yes. Okay. Dr. Nguyen Tu Anh, he is a General Director of the Department of General Economics Affairs of the Central Economic Commission of the Vietnam Communist Party. The second co-chair is Professor Bruna, and the third co-chair is myself. So, okay, Dr. Tuang, okay, you are there, right?
Yeah.
Just, okay, so thanks for inviting me. Alors, how do I put the pointer? I don't know. I should put the pointer there, no? How do I pass the... Oh, how do I move like this? No. Okay, okay. There was a point. Thank you. So just to introduce a bit what I do, so my research is on growth and innovation, and with Peter Howitt, we pioneered what we call the Schumpeterian growth paradigm. So it's to really put firms, entry, exit, firm dynamics into a growth model. And so what we try to embody in our model is the Schumpeterian notion of creative destruction, which is the process whereby new innovations displace old technologies. New innovations make old technologies obsolete. And with Peter Howitt, we wrote a new model which rests on three main ideas. The first idea is that long-run growth is driven by a cumulative process of innovation, where new innovators build upon previous innovators. The second idea is that innovations result from entrepreneurial activities that are motivated by the prospect of innovation rents. So you innovate because if you innovate, you have a better product, a new product, a cheaper way to produce, and that gives you monopoly rents for a while until someone does better than you do and displaces you. And the third idea is creative destruction. New innovations displace old technologies. And of course, at the heart of the paradigm, there is a contradiction. On the one hand, you need the monopoly, the innovation rents to motivate innovation. But on the other hand, yesterday's innovators are tempted to use their rents to prevent subsequent innovation because they don't want themselves to be victim of creative destruction. And regulating capitalism is largely about how to manage this contradiction, okay? So one first prediction of this model is on growth and entry. Wherever you have more entry, exit, turnover, you have more growth, because growth is linked to creative destruction. So there are various measures of turnover: new entry, job creation, job destruction, firm churning. You can have various, you can do that cross-region, cross-country, and you tend to have a positive correlation between various measures of entry and or turnover and growth. That's the second thing is on competition. Usually you are a classroom. Suppose you have the top of the class and the bottom of the class, and I let in a very good element. The top of the class will work harder to remain the top of the class, but the bottom of the class will be discouraged by the new entrant, okay? Because they think they cannot catch up. And it's exactly the same with firms. The blue line are firms that are close to the technological frontier in their sector, the top of the class. And when there is more competition, they innovate more to remain the top. And that's the escape competition effect. We see when there is more competition, you innovate more to escape competition. But the firms that are behind, they tend to be discouraged by competition. Okay. Of course, the more developed a country is, the more blue firms there is compared to orange firms, and that's why competition becomes increasingly an engine of growth, of innovation-based growth, when you are more advanced, when you have more blue firms than orange firms. Okay. So that's the thing. You can do many things with this paradigm. You can revisit enigma in economic history. You can question some common wisdom, and you can rethink the future of market economy. The common wisdom that I want to question here is the fact that AI and robotization would be bad for employment, and that's not the case. Okay, so I think I will stop. I will now move to just to introduce a bit what I'm doing, where I'm coming from, and now I move to my main presentation. So I take this out. Voila. See, although if I don't do this, I forget my key, which is so small, and I tend to forget it. Voila. And now I can. One second. And now I can move to the main topic. But I just wanted to introduce a bit where I'm coming from. Okay. And now we can move to the AI. of AI. And now I can move to my main presentation. But I wanted just to introduce where I was coming from and what I was doing. And then I have an innovation lab at Collège de France that I created. Yes. Yeah, I have an innovation lab at Collège de France, and what we do in this lab is to do research on firm dynamics and growth, on AI and growth, and on green innovation, and on why don't we have breakthrough innovation in Europe as much as we have in the US, on R&D misallocation and R&D policy. So we are very much working into everything which has to do with innovation, firm dynamics, and growth, and that's what we do in this trade and innovation-based growth. We do research in China, the China Initiative. We do all what relates a lot science, economics of science. That's what we do in this lab. Okay, we're using modeling and data and a back and forth between microdata and modeling. Okay, so that's a bit. Okay, so let me now move to the topic of today's presentation, the economic impact of AI. So the history of AI is over 70 years old. As early as 1950, the British mathematician and cryptologist Alan Turing was interested in the ability of a machine to imitate a conversation. Okay? It was a few years later, in 1956, that the term artificial intelligence first appeared. And AI first developed in the form of a deductive rules of the type if something, then something. So kind of deductive. Huh? This is the so-called symbolic approach based on reasoning and instruction. So that's the early form that AI took, okay? Although this symbolic approach has not been abandoned, a statistical approach to artificial intelligence has been gaining ground since the 1990s, and it's machine learning. Unlike the symbolic approach, the human does not determine a set of if-then rules. Instead, they ensure that the computer learns to identify statistical regularities, okay? And that means statistical relationship between data. So there is no, in the statistical approach to AI, there is no explicit human instruction. The machine is trained to recognize links from a set of training data. The machine then applies these links to new data to perform a task, okay? So the success of this statistical approach relies on two essential ingredients: data and computing power. In particular, supported by the emergence of the cloud. The availability of these two ingredients has increased sharply over the last 30 years under the triple effects of the digitization of our society, producing more data, improvements in semiconductor materials, increasing computing power, and technical progress in general. Okay, so this presentation relies, we focus on the economic impacts of AI and relies on joint work with particularly Simon Bunel while preparing a report we did for the President Macron on AI. And the report was completed in early March of this year, okay, and handed over to President Macron at that time, okay, and it came out as a book at Odile Jacob, AI, IA, notre ambition pour la France, AI, our ambition for France. Okay, so that's the original form that the report takes. Of course, it takes a different form with the Odile Jacob book. Okay, that's what we. Okay, so the AI revolution affects all domains of activity: the economy, public services, the organization of work, media, culture. The emergence of generative AI represented an unprecedented acceleration in the AI revolution by simplifying the use of certain tools to the extreme, by generating text, images, sounds at an extraordinarily high speed and with a stunning degree of realism. I mean, my son yesterday was trying to use, before he used to do Google Translate to translate a text, and he says there is no comparison between Google Translate and ChatGPT. ChatGPT is much more accurate. You almost need no corrections. It's just way above. Quoi. It's just totally different game. If you use Google Translate and instead you use ChatGPT, quoi. It's a huge step upward step. Okay, so just to give you an idea of the acceleration, associated with generative AI, it took 2.5 years for Netflix to reach 1 million users. It took 2.5 months for Instagram to reach 1 million users. It took 5 days for ChatGPT to reach 1 million users. So just to give you an idea. So, of course, this revolution has created both hopes and fear. The hope was the hope of a growth upsurge. The fear is the fear of mass unemployment, okay? So, one belief is that, yes, is there a problem there? You have a problem? Kong, hello? You have a... Ah bon, d'accord, ok. Ça marche. You're on something else. Yeah, vous faites... c'est bon. Ok, ça marche. Yeah, it's outside, yeah. Okay, well. So one belief is that AI... Alors, one debate is on growth. And there, that I have one colleague at MIT with Daron Acemoglu. He believes that AI has no impact on growth, or barely any impact. And I would strongly disagree with Daron. And another on employment, he has the belief that AI is very bad for employment. Again, I disagree with Daron Acemoglu. I believe that overall AI has a positive impact on employment, although not uniform. Okay? And so here I will talk about my 2 disagreements with Daron. Okay? Voilà. So let me talk first about AI and growth. Okay, so why should we believe that AI could boost productivity growth? Because AI automates tasks both in the production of goods and services and in the production of ideas, okay? And I have a paper, which is a kind of a theoretical paper with Ben Jones and Chad Jones, where we try to make that argument that AI automates both the production of goods and services and production of ideas, and we try to see what are the conclusions from that. Why do I believe that AI also is good, automates partly the production of ideas and improves the innovation technology? Is because AI helps find solutions to complex problems. It facilitates imitation and learning, and AI can become self-improving. That's something that previous revolutions could not do. Because it's not the first industrial revolution. You had the steam engine, which was the first industrial revolution in the 1820. Then you had the electricity revolution in 1920. Then you had the IT revolution, and now you have the AI. But what's very special with the AI is that more than previous revolutions, AI automates not only tasks in the production of goods and services, but it also automates tasks in the production of ideas. Yes?
Just a small question. You focus on unemployment issue.
No, we'll focus first on growth and then I talk about employment. No, I think we should, yeah.
And on security issues as well?
Alors, security, in the report we talk about security. I will send you the report because, of course, we cannot deal with everything. Here, I want to show results where we've done empirical analysis or where others have done empirical analysis. Then there are all the issues of security. In the report, we try to be comprehensive, but of course, on the other thing, there has been no research. So we just try to say things. So here I present a bit the analytical part of the report, okay? Okay, so what I would like to do on AI and growth is first... Sorry, excusez-moi, vous avez une question? Do you have a question? Ah no, okay, you have no question. Okay, so first I wanted to report a very important study by Brynjolfsson. Brynjolfsson is an important guy, and he's really the one who does important study. If you are really interested in AI, you should go on the website of Erik Brynjolfsson, okay? And he has a particular paper which is widely cited, which is a working paper of NBR called Generative AI at Work. And what they do there is that they look at a firm which is a firm in the Fortune 500. So it's among the most performing firms in the US. And that firm, what it does is that it's an American firm, and that firm advises American small and medium-sized enterprises on software. So you are a small an SME in the US and you want to adopt software. You call that firm, and usually they send you to Philippines employees. You know, I don't know why, but many of the employees are in the Philippines, and the employee in the Philippines try to say, well, okay, you have that problem, I will help you solve that problem, okay? And what happened is that they introduced generative AI. They gave access to ChatGPT to these Philippines employees, but they didn't do that in one go. They did that progressively. So then, therefore, you can have a natural experiment. You can compare the productivity of, and we measure productivity here by the number of resolutions per hour of an employee that doesn't have access to ChatGPT, to one which is similar in terms of previous productivity, in terms of experience, etc., which has who has access to ChatGPT. Okay, and what they find is that you have a significant productivity boost of the employee, the Philippine employee. They can give many more answers per hour when they have access to ChatGPT compared to when they didn't have access to ChatGPT. Okay, so the boost is of plus 14% after 1 month, and it goes up to 25% after 2 months. Okay, so it's a huge increase in productivity. Now, that's a very micro. It's a very micro story. Now you could say, well, but that's fine, but it's one firm. What about the AI? What about the macroeconomic effect of AI on economic growth? So there are two ways to approach. One method is to say, let's just extrapolate from previous technological revolution. We know how much, by how many percentage points they increase growth, and we say, but AI should be like previous revolutions, okay? Another approach is a task-based approach. We look in detail. I told you that AI automates tasks in the production of goods and services and ideas as well. But already for goods and services, you could say, well, let's decompose and let's try to look at the tasks that are affected by AI, that are profitably affected, where AI will be profitably implemented. And then let's look at the share of labor in those tasks and by how much AI will increase the productivity of labor. And so you go directly, you look at the task, you see what I mean? And you try to get an estimate. So let me, first the extrapolation. If you extrapolate, the electricity revolution increased productivity growth by 1.3 percentage point per 10 years. So if you were at you grow at 1%, you would grow at 2.3%. You see what I mean? That was the electricity revolution. Okay, the IT revolution is more like 0.8. The IT revolution for 10 years, growth has gone up by 0.8 percentage point. And we say, well, you know, if we believe that AI is something like previous revolution, it should be in that order. Okay, but that, you know, you say, but okay, I believe that, but I may, it's a huge, because if you are in this order of magnitude, it means that when by 2034 in France, the GDP would be between 250 and 400 billion euros. You know the big problem we have with our debt. That would be a big way to solve our debt problem, okay? So now and that would be like this, you see. Here is the is the evolution of GDP without AI, and AI will increase the growth rate, you see, for 10 years, and then you go back, this line is parallel to this line, okay? So that's, if you just look at production of you know, like if it was like extrapolating from previous revolutions, okay? So that's the thing. Now, there is another method, which is the task-based. So Acemoglu has a recent paper, and there was where he take a task-based model. He has one that he developed with Pascal Restrepo to estimate the effect of AI on TFP, but he's just taking into account the fact that AI automates tasks in the production of goods and services. He doesn't, they abstract from the fact that AI also automates the production of ideas, okay? But so he says, well, you know, it's very important. They say, well, if I want to look at the gain in total factor productivity, I look at the GDP share of tasks that are exposed to AI. Then I look at the share of exposed tasks for which AI is really profitably implemented. And then I look at the labor cost saving enabled by AI Okay, and then I multiply by the labor share, because if there is almost no labor, if there is labor cost saving, it doesn't make a big difference. And so he takes the product of these four terms. And his own estimate is that if you look at the gains on he gets only a 0.07. So it's way below, 10 times below what the extrapolation method gives. So then there was a big problem. So people said, but in fact, you know, it's very little small growth that we should expect from AI, okay? But I disagree with Aaron, okay? First, the GDP share of tasks, it took 19%, but there's been other studies that give, and in fact, the range is between 18.5 and 68%. He took almost the most, in terms of GDP share of tasks where AI affected AI, he took almost the most pessimistic of all estimates, okay? Whereas the whole interval is there, you see? Then if you look at the share of exposed tasks for which AI is profitable, it takes at today's cost, 23% of visual tasks exposed to AI would be profitable to automate for American firms. He took that from that firm. But the limitation is that first he assumed zero cost reduction in AI implementation. So he assumes that the cost will not be reduced, but more tasks, it will be more and more profitable to use AI because the cost of introducing AI will go down over time. And here, Svanberg, in fact, proposed 3 scenarios of a cost reduction of 10%, 20%, and 50%, which leads respectively to 30%, 50%, 80% of visual tasks that expose AI that will become profitable in the long run. So maybe today the share is 23, but in fact it will be, you see, much more already in 20 years. You see what I mean? I'm not talking about that long, you see. So the interval to consider is an interval between 23% and 80%. Okay, and again, he's taking the most pessimistic view. Okay, a second limitation is that he has focused on visual, but computer vision is not where progress is the most spectacular. The recent advances in the capabilities of understanding writing of languages, for example, it's much more. So if you look here, you can look at various activities, and the visual is not the one where the growth. So already I told you that he doesn't take into account the fact that things will improve, and particularly visual is not the thing where things will improve the most. And he focused on visual. But there are many more applications of AI where you see like image recognition. There is image recognition is the visual, but you have speech recognition, productive reasoning, things for which you have much steeper progress, okay? So there is a downward bias there that he has not taken into account, okay? The labor cost saving, in fact, Acemoglu aligned, again, took a 27% labor cost saving, but you know there's been other studies, and the true interval is 33%, 40%, quite. And again, he made an average of 2 studies, but he did an average of Noy and Zhang, which is there, and the Brynjolfsson short term. You remember Brynjolfsson? I told you it's 14%, but after 2 months it's 25%. He took the 14%, but after 2 months you're already at 25. You see what I mean? So again, he goes grossly underestimate. And so in fact, if you take all that into account, you see what I mean? We would conclude that the annual productivity growth should be in an interval between 0.07 or 0.8 as he did, but 1.24, which is essentially the 1.3. But in fact, what we believe is the most believable is 0.68. So we get at something in between, and we believe that. So that's interesting because you see the extrapolation was between 0.7 and 1.2. Here, what we believe is the most believable is a 0.7, which is of the same order of magnitude that the extrapolation. So what's very interesting is that the extrapolation and a serious way to do the task-based give you a similar estimate, you see what I mean, of the same order of magnitude. Voilà. So just to tell you that already if you just take into account, if you do seriously the task-based, or you do the extrapolation, you get sizable 10-year increase by at least say 0.7 and not 0.07. It's 10 times more than what Daron gets, okay? Percentage point of growth in addition. But of course, this doesn't take into account the fact that AI also boosts the productivity growth, also automates tasks in the production of ideas that we haven't done. And in fact, at the end, and at the end, what you have is this, is that that's your 0 point, that's no AI, okay? That's the red is that I just take the 0.7 for 10 years. But in addition, you have the fact that you automate production of ideas, so it should be steeper there, but also permanently steeper because you will have permanently improved the innovation technology. What's interesting with the idea thing is that not only it gives you an extra growth for the next 10 years, but it gives you permanently a steeper curve here than you have here. You see what I mean? Whereas here, you are getting back to the slope that you have here. Do you see? So that's where I am much more optimistic than Daron on growth. But I introduce a but. And the but we introduce, and that's in the report, is that all that is fine, but there is the problem that there is lack of competition is a potential obstacle. And I have a recent paper with various co-authors published in the Review of Economic Studies, which is it's called Rising Rents, Slower Growth and Rising Rents. And what we show is the following. In fact, that if you look at the evolution of the average yearly TFP growth rate in the US, you see that it went up a lot between 1995 and 2005. That's the IT revolution. But it went down a lot since then. And what happened is that it's particularly true, this upsurge followed by downfall, is the fact that you have, that's true in the IT producing sectors and the IT using sector. It has to do a lot with IT. And in fact, what happened is that when you had the IT revolution in the US, it allowed some firms that took advantage of IT, Microsoft, Walmart, Amazon, what we call les GAFAM, or the FAMANG, okay? Those firms, you see, pushed IT, and they pushed productivity growth in the US. That's why you have the grading. But what happened is that those firms, through merger and acquisition, they expanded, and what happened is that they ended up discouraging entry by new firms. And I told you about the Schumpeterian thing. You remember? I told you the yesterday's innovators become a barrier to new innovations. It's exactly what happened here. The GAFAM, you see, through merger and acquisition, became very tentacular, and they ended up discouraging entry of new innovating firms, you see? And that problem you may have with AI, because with AI, right away, the GAFAM are there. In the upstream segments of the AI value chain, you already have those firms there, particularly in the cloud. It's dominated by those firms. And even computing power, most of it is dominated by those firms. So the problem there is that right away, the upstream segments of the AI value chain are dominated by those large firms. And so what you need to do is to adapt competition policy to make sure that, you know, they let new entrants. So my conclusion so far is that AI has a high growth potential, much more than what Daron would believe. But on the other hand, inappropriate competition policy may hamper this growth potential. In particular, the cloud is dominated by three superstar firms, Amazon, Google, Microsoft, and you have one big actor, GPU, on the market for graphic processors. So there you need to adapt competition policy to make it much more, you know, easy. When you have merger and acquisition, if the merger acquisition is bad for innovation and entry, you should prevent it or undo it. And that's now people are thinking of how can we adapt competition policy in the US and in Europe as well to not just look at market share, market definition, competition, but to look at to which extent a merger prevents new entry or prevents new competition. So you have to adapt institutions. You see, so the technology is fine, but we have to adapt our institutions. If we don't have good competition policy, then AI will not deliver the growth potential that I mentioned. Okay, so that's the first thing. So now I move to AI and employment. So first, I would like to talk about automation. We have a paper which we did on automation. Again, I disagree with Darren Acemoglu. Darren Acemoglu thought that robots and automation would be bad for employment. But in fact, if you do a firm-level study, like we did on France, and now there are various other firm-level studies using firm-level data on other countries, they find a positive effect. So here you compare a firm that adopts industrial equipment or that adopts robots to a similar firm that has not. Yes?
Maybe there is a difference between unskilled and skilled workers. Robots has an impact on unemployment of unskilled.
I will, but in fact, we find that it has for all, and I will explain why. Okay, so, and I will send the paper. So in fact, you find an overall effect, and it's true for both skilled and unskilled. And in fact, the reason is because firms that automate or robotize, what they do is that they become more productive. Because they are more productive, they become more competitive. Therefore, they have a better quality. The person here goes out all the time. It's very funny. I don't know when she comes in, comes out. So they have a bigger market for their product. They become more productive. And therefore, there is more demand for their product. And therefore, they employ more. And that productivity effect more than counteracts the substitution of manpower by machines, okay? And we show in that paper with Jaravel and others that it's true for skilled and unskilled. That effect is true for everyone because the demand for the product of that firm goes up, and therefore you employ more of all. And particularly, export sales go up. Those firms that automate, they have export sales going up, and that's the business stealing. They steal business to other firms that do not automate, but also they make, there are some consumers that would not have purchased the product. Now they become much cheaper and they consume the product. So it's not purely a zero-sum game. It's not a zero-sum game because you also attract consumers that were not at all in that market before, okay? So that's for the robotization, okay? And now you may want to ask, how about AI? And so what we did for the report, we had enquête annuelle, we had a survey, annual survey of INSEE, and we asked specific question on AI adoption, and we have a random survey covering 9,000 representative firms with more than 50 employees, and we have we designed and even studies comparing firms that adopt some AI between 2018 and 2020 to similar firms that do not, that's the treatment group, to similar firms that do not adopt AI before 2020, that's the control group. So that's the treatment group, that's the control group. And what we find that overall, exactly for the same reason as robotization, firms that adopt AI, overall, they create employment, okay? Employment goes up. Alors, the thing is that, and it's true for men, women, skilled, unskilled. The thing is that it's not, it's true for males and females, but you see what's interesting, it's not uniform on all jobs. And for example, administrative and commercial intermediate professions, there you don't see a positive effect. It may be even negative. And that's interesting. So it means that overall employment goes up, but it doesn't go up uniformly on all types of employment. And that resonates with a recent study from the International Labour Office organization, ILO, called Generative AI and Jobs. And what they do there is that they decompose jobs into tasks. I told you that a job is a task. And the fact is that AI automates some of the tasks, but not all of them. Okay? So for each task, they put a low score to those tasks that are small replacement risk, an average score for tasks that have an medium level replacement risk, and they put a high score for those tasks that have a high replacement risk. And you see now what's very interesting is that on the upper panel you have managerial jobs. So each of the line is a managerial job. For the managerial job, most of the tasks are in the blue, are in the low replacement risk, okay? And they have a few with high replacement. In fact, the ideal is to be there, because here it means that some tasks will be replaced by AI, which are the boring tasks, and you will have more time for the creative part. And that's ideally, those are the ones that really benefit. They benefit more than these guys, in fact. These guys benefit because some of their tasks will be replaced, but their jobs is preserved. It's become even more interesting. So for managerial jobs, you see that some tasks are replaced, but overall, the job is enhanced. Now, if you move to clerical support workers, you see that there it's different. Most of the tasks are replaced here. And so those jobs here are at risk. You see? And and now you can, that's my colleague Antonin Bergeau, who has for the report designed, drawn this figure. He has, for various jobs, you can, on the vertical, I say to which extent the job is exposed to AI. And there, on the horizontal, I look, when I go, the more to the right I am, the higher the share of tasks that will not be replaced by AI, you see? So the worst is to be here, to be northwest. If you are northwest, you have jobs that are both exposed to AI and where, in fact, most of the tasks are replaced, okay? So, comptable, télévendeur, secrétaire, ça, c'est pas, voilà, ça va, voilà. Et ça, c'est des jobs. Mais par contre, here, you know, you have jobs, aide ménagère, cuisinier. Those are jobs that are not very much exposed. Or this one, architect, it's exposed, but only a low share of tasks are replaced. Okay, and so now what you can do is that you can do this graph where you start from the highest, the jobs the more at risk of being replaced. Accountant, télévendeur, secrétaire. And when you get to there, already the job is okay. So this is the share of jobs that are really at risk. So there are some jobs that are really at risk overall, okay? But as soon as you are here already, the job is preserved. But so some jobs are at risk. So overall, AI increase employment, but not uniformly across all jobs. And but it's not the risk of some people believe that AI would make us all redundant and useless. No, we are not at all, you see. And it's very important because if you believe that AI or robotization overall is good for employment, taxing robots, you remember in 2017 we had a French election and one candidate that I will not name had this great proposal suggested by a colleague of mine who always has very bad ideas on policy, but I will not name him either, was to tax robots. You can imagine who I'm talking about. And I think it's a very stupid idea because if you know that robotization increases employment, if you tax robots, it's like taxing innovation. You prevent that firm from becoming more productive and creating more jobs. Okay? So overall, you see, my conclusion is that you should not be afraid of AI. AI has the potential to generate employment and growth, but you need to adapt institutions. You need competition policy to reform in order for AI to deliver on growth potential. And to deliver on the employment, you need to have education system. That's why it's very important in France to improve our education system. Our PISA tests are very bad. We have to improve, okay? And we need good labor market policy. Denmark is a case in point. They have a good education system in Denmark, and they have the flex security. When you lose your job in Denmark for 2 years, you get 90% of your salary up to a certain level of salary, and you get retrained, and the state helps you find a new job. We don't have anything in France approaching the Danish flex security. That's why I strongly oppose the second labor market reform that Gabriel Attal wanted to do, and I'm very happy that it has been repelled. We should move towards the Danish system. So I think we really need good competition policy, good education system, and a good flex security system to manage, to really to have AI deliver on this potential. And I believe that AI is like any revolution, it's like a car. I mean, the car is not if you have a car but you don't have red lights and green lights, you have many dead. You need to have regulation and you need to direct the technology in the right direction. So you need to have the policies and institutions that allows us, the society, to direct the power of these wonderful revolutions in the right direction. Because if you don't have those, instead of giving you happiness, it will give you unhappiness. But my view is that the technology is not responsible. The technology is deeply good. There is a lot of great things. I mean, if you look at we talk about that in the report. I mean, you can use AI for education. It's a great tool for education. It's a great tool on health. It's fantastic all what you can do with AI. It's just amazing. So AI it has a lot of good things to give us, but we need to adapt our institutions and policies in order to reap the fruits. You see, to harvest. You see, and that's my conclusion. Okay, yeah.
Thank you very much. This very impressive presentation. I have an additional question about the short run and the long run effects on unemployment. Maybe in the short run, you have more unemployment. In the long run, through adjustment mechanisms, less unemployment.
Sorry? No, it's true that in the long run, more jobs will be replaced, but that's where innovation makes that as well. You see what I mean? That's why you need to have this good system of education, because also what's very important in the basic education system, you learn to learn, so you become more adaptable. You see, if you have a very bad education system, it's very hard to have a good flex security system. You have a good flex security system which can see comme socle if you have as a ground basis a good education system, and that's why it's important, because then people adapt more easily. You see, and that's why we need. I mean, competition for the AI and growth, and education and flex security for the other one. If you have those very solid, then we don't have to fear much from the revolution. We can get a lot from them. But another thing I wanted to say is that in the report, I told you that competition is very important for growth. Okay. So competition on AI, it means what? It means, of course, that you have to make sure that you adapt competition, you make competition policy much more pro-innovation, pro-entry. It also says you have the Digital Market Act. It has to cover all the cloud in particular. It's not covered by the digital market. It should cover all the steps, in the value chain, all the layers in the value chain of AI. And we are very much for open source. We think open source is very important, and access to data. For example, we have like CNIL, la Commission Nationale d'Information et Liberté, which I think it should have a mission for innovation. That's what we say. It should improve its, increase its scope. But one thing is that even the CNIL asks, that at present, you need prior authorization from CNIL to perform research in health, to have access to health data. We want to remove that. We want to say ex post, no ex ante. So on the competition side, wait a sec. On the competition side, we want more openness, more access, more dynamic competition policy, etc. But on the other hand, I told you the two inputs are the data, so we want better data access, but the other thing is computing power, and that's why we need industrial policy, because in France and in Europe, we don't have enough of that. And that's why you get to the Draghi report. Mario Draghi wrote a very important report, and Mario Draghi realized that Europe is losing to the US and to China on breakthrough innovations. Why? Because in the US, they have a fantastic basic research system, universities well-funded, they have the NSF, the NIH, and they have also private donors to organize it for long-term research. They have a fantastic basic research ecosystem. We don't have anything similar in Europe. We have the ERC, but that's not enough. Second, they have venture capital to boost startups and innovation in small firms, and institutional investors to boost innovation in larger firms. We don't have anything approaching that what they have. So that's why, and we don't have a NASDAQ. So that's why there is a whole part in the Draghi report on how to unify capital market, and also to make it unified, like we need a unified goods market. And three, they have the DARPA, the Defense Advanced Project Agency, or the ARPA Energy, or the BARDA, which is equivalent for biotech and pharmaceutical, which is a way to do industrial policy, which is pro-competition. The money comes from the ministry on a mission. For example, DARPA was space and defense. BARDA is the vaccines. The basic technology exists. It came from basic research. And then you hire team leaders, and the team leaders, they have freedom to elicit competing projects. You have many labs producing the vaccines, okay? And there are many labs producing the technology for space and defense. And that's a way to do industrial policy which is pro-competition. In Europe, we don't have anything like the DARPA. The European Agency for Innovation finances small and medium-sized enterprise, but when you have all SME, usually they do incremental innovation. They don't do big innovation. And that's why in Europe we don't have the DARPA, which is also very important to finance and to boost breakthrough innovation. So that's why Draghi says, well, we should, on all those margins, Europe should try to, emulate the American example, in fact. And that's what and on AI, we need industrial policy. So you see, in the name of competition policy in Europe, first competition policy in Europe was too static, market share, and in the name of competition policy, we were precluding any sectoral state aid. That's crazy. We have to allow for sectoral state aid, but make sure, of course, that it's competition friendly. So we have to acknowledge the importance of well-designed industrial policy. And we were very Hayekian in Europe. Europe was a very much Hayekian. Regulatory giant to prevent countries from doing anything, and budgetary dwarf, and we need to do, and that's why we need to move. We need competition, but we need industrial policy. And the report has very much this take. Competition is important, but smart industrial policy is also important. And that's very much in line with Draghi. Yes. Yes.
Just the last question.
You ask all the questions. It's very nice, but yeah.
But in the AI sector, maybe you have increasing returns. What I am concerned by possibly is the impact of the the economic power on the political power related to the AI issues.
I don't know if you are from Italy. There is a very interesting study by my colleague Ufuk Aksigit, show that when firms start, they do innovation, and then they do a lot of lobbying when they become bigger. So you have to deal with the lobbying part. So competition policy, it means also that you regulate lobbying activities, to prevent big incumbents. It's always the Schumpeterian conundrum. You want to prevent big incumbents to bribe politicians to prevent entry of new firms. And so competition policy, it's to regulate merger and acquisition, but it's also to regulate lobbying activities. And for example, in the US, we know that there is enormous lobbying with the Supreme Court. There's been a very interesting paper by Luigi Zingales, Eric Posner, which is the Richard Posner's son, and another author, showing the connivence, the collusion between large firms in the US, large incumbent firms, and the Supreme Court. And that, of course, you have to work on that margin. Yes.
Yes. If I can, I will ask you two questions, and after share the floor to our colleagues in the room and outside. I would like to ask you if you have an estimation, if you can estimate the time of human learning of artificial intelligence. You know the problem of individual, organizational, collective learning, and the problem of discrepancies in level of learnings in the appropriation of technology. And I think that one of the main issues in employment is to contribute to a not homogeneous, but a little bit reduced heterogeneity in the level of learning of artificial intelligence. And I think that this topic should be addressed, I think, in terms of democratization and also to boost competition.
We have a whole part on how to make AI accessible. So we say already in kindergarten, there should be familiarity, and we should have AI, of course, in university programs, AI and medicine, AI and law, and have AI incorporated in the. And so that there is a big part on that, familiarity with AI. I think that's and that's why part of the investment we propose the government to spend five times 5 billion. I know that this year will be a bit hard. Exactly. Partly also for the diffusion of AI. Yeah.
Including also the problem of continuous education in companies, exactly. Because the problem is that is a gap within companies. And the second question should be on the risk of oligopoly or oligopolization of the market of artificial intelligence. You have explained the role of competition to stimulate growth by innovation, by disruption. We can, I don't know, it is possible to identify a risk of non-stopping innovation by the GAFAM, or don't know, but I don't know, orientation of innovation. For example, privileging a topic and on, I don't know, on medicine fields and completely and at the same time not focusing innovation on other aspects or potential uses of artificial intelligence. I think that it is difficult to consider that artificial intelligence should be blocked or stopped, but I am not sure that the use should be homogeneously shared among the different sectors. And my question should be, considering the huge competitive barriers, there is potentially a risk of oligopoly, I think, but I am not a specialist, and I should. Thank you.
Make sure that entry is preserved, that you see that, and if you see there are entry barriers to prevent a few merger or undo mergers possibly if you think competition is not there. So that's where competition policy has to evolve. That's a very big part of competition policy. There are two questions in your question. One is to say, how do you maintain competition? And one is to say, how can you direct AI towards more jobs, making more job friendly? That you can give through incentives to firms. I mean, say, go keep your workers, but you cannot do micromanagement too much. So you have to find the right middle way between doing nothing and micromanaging firms. So Danny Roderick and others have written on that recently. So how could you, Daron, author, can you direct AI towards creating jobs, making jobs less boring, not making jobs too routine, making jobs more, but without micromanaging firms. That's a bit the kind of difficult.
Thank you so much. We have questions. We have two questions from Teams. Please, you can unmute your micro. Yeah. Complicated. It's complicated. We can try with the.
Do they have a system that they can write?
Yeah, you can write your question in the conversation in the chat. Yeah, you can write your.
Write your question.
Yeah, can you? Excuse me. Can you write your question on the chat? Okay, thank you. It's a problem with technology. Yeah, Thank you. And I will.
Here you are. Look. Can someone say please write your question? Can someone write from here? Est-ce que vous pouvez écrire est-ce que vous pouvez dans le chat? Est-ce que vous pouvez écrire dans le chat? Pouvez-vous écrire vos questions?
So we have the question from Nguyen Thu Anh.
Les questions. Vous voyez les questions? Voilà. Can you write your question? Voilà. Very good. Voilà. Voilà. Okay. Voilà, it's done. Excellent.
Okay, so we are waiting for the question, so I ask my question. Your studies and also existing studies on AI are conditional on our current state of knowledge about AI. So what happens if AI can replace more skilled labor? I think now AI can also replace musician, medicine, and so on. So the impact on unemployment may be huge.
Look, we have only one micro. Look, I mean, anything can happen. I mean, I cannot, but I don't want. I think each time you had an industrial revolution, there was always the fear of mass unemployment, and it never happened. Never. You had the Luddites movement with the steam engine. Then when you had the electricity revolution, Keynes was foreseeing mass unemployment. Never happened, because I believe the productivity effect plays. I think that this productivity effect is very strong. So far, it didn't happen. Now, and I think it's useless to. What you have to do is always to create the conditions to minimize the chance. There is no zero risk of anything. But what you can do is to create the conditions to minimize the probability of a very bad outcome. You can never say, I will guarantee zero bad outcome. But if you have good competition policy on the one hand, and you have good education and good flex security system, good labor market policies, you minimize. You see, suppose some job disappears, there will be new jobs created. Do you see what I mean? Growth creates jobs. And so AI has a growth potential. So if you unleash the growth potential of AI, maybe some jobs will disappear, but new jobs will come. And then you have the Danish system. You see that allows you to move from one job to another job. And so I think that's the way to take it. You see, the way to take it is to say, have a system, put in place the institutions and policies that will allow you to to have a good ride on the technologies, you see what I mean? And not be there scared and protectionist, and that's not the way out, you see what I mean? The way out is to have policies that make you non-protectionist, that make you innovative. As if you say, I fear innovation. No, don't fear innovation. You make sure that the innovation ride is socially acceptable, you see what I mean? And it becomes fun. When you have safety nets, it becomes fun. I don't know, you've skied anyway to do skiing. If you are well trained on skiing, you can have a lot of fun. If you don't know how to ski, any slope will be scary. You see what I mean? So you need to have the equivalent of a good skiing course, you see what I mean? And to be able to take the slope and have fun. And I think that's my way of thinking. I mean, I'm an optimist, but I'm a Gramscian optimist. You see, I believe in the optimism of the will, exactly. And I think that's the way to take. Otherwise, you become fearful and you say the world is a disaster, everything will go wrong. I don't believe in that. I think look, Vietnam. It's a fantastic country. It was totally shelled with napalm a few years when I was young and I was demonstrating for peace in Vietnam. And now it's a booming country. Okay, because you decided you had the optimism of the will in Vietnam. And China also. China did fantastic things. I thought Xi Jinping will not slow down China, but I think he will not, because eventually China understand that they can be a major player worldwide. So they should not shoot themselves in the feet by inhibiting innovation. And so that's it, and you take the ride. Like the Scandinavian countries do also. You see, they take the ride. They have good institutions. You are a socialist country. You should be aware of social mobility and of protection. So you need a system that is both. And some people believe that when you become more protective, you are less innovative. No. If you have good education system, and I know in Vietnam you can do better on education system. You're doing well, but you could do much better. We know that at the heart of innovation is the education, much before R&D subsidies. If you have a good education system with good PISA tests and good universities, good undergrad and all that, you are very good. You are very well placed to innovate. Okay, we know that. There's been very recent studies showing how paramountly important education is. So you have a good education system, good labor market policies, and good. But then you are fine, because you are in the game of innovation. But when you are good education makes you more innovative, because more people can be innovators. And more inclusive. Competition policy makes you more innovative and more inclusive, because you have more creative destruction and therefore more social mobility. So good education, good labor market policy, smart industrial policy, which is pro-competition. You are in very good shape. I think you can really look forward to the future. I think that's really the way to think about it. Yes, alors, whoa, that's one question. We have enjoyed the excellent presentation. I stop there. Thank you. No, no. Just look at supply on demand side. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely can communicate. No, you are absolutely right. AI will create demand and therefore will increase market size for new products. That's the thing. When I mention robots and things, is because AI will also, there will be much more demand for new objects. And that's why there will be new products and new employment created. You're absolutely right. AI creates demand as much as it creates supply. And you're absolutely right. And that's why I'm very optimistic that AI will create many new employments. And the thing is to make it easy to move from existing jobs to new jobs. And okay, so decided by that's why AI will boost the economy, because AI will boost not only supply, you're absolutely right, AI will also boost demand and will create demand for new products, absolutely, which will be a further source of innovation. And so you're right, I underestimated further the growth potential of AI because I did not take into account the demand-driven source, growth created by AI. There is a second question? Where I am? Here. Wonderful. Okay, I stop there. No, business school for co-hosting. So that's for you. Okay. With a huge impact. If you have an advice to Vietnam government, I would like to visit Vietnam. Can I? Can you organize for me to visit? I want to visit Vietnam. And visit Viseu in Hanoi and talk to them. And I learn, because first I would be, modest. I will not pretend to know Vietnam better than my counterparts in Vietnam. But advice, I'd be very happy to give advice. But advice is just what I said, is that I said put in place education policy. You look at Korea. Korea is strong because they have very good education system. They have very high PISA test. So make your education system among the best worldwide. Okay, so that's very important. Have a very good education basis, good competition policy. Make sure that you have good competition, and make sure that if you do industrial policy, it is not at the expense of competition policy. Openness is also important. I mean, China was very important when China joined WTO, because the combination of education and joining WTO, they could absorb foreign technologies and catch up much more. So I think those guys are important, but I think education, competition, and good flex security system makes you both more innovative, but in the spirit of a socialist economy. I've been a communist for 10 years, and so I know where I come from, and I've read Marx throughout, and I believe in the ideal, not maybe in the way to achieve it, but that we can talk, but you're moving toward market economy, so I believe in the spirit of market economy, but you can be inclusive and innovative. And I think you need to put in place the main policies that make you both more innovative and more inclusive. And those are education, flex security, and competition, and smart industrial policy. I think if you do those things, you will be, I think you are in the good, I think those will be the thing. But of course the detail, as we say, devils in the details, and that I can only learn if I come to Vietnam. Yes.
Yeah, Philippe, thanks a lot. I have another question, more perhaps from a technical perspective, and I would first like to offer a reflection on the words and also a bit of historical context. So if I want to sound cool at a party, which I rarely want, but if I want, I will say I've been dealing with artificial intelligence for the past 25 years. But I think if we are looking at it from an engineering context, everything that we have been doing is essentially machine learning application, very sophisticated application of machine learning. And in the end, what makes up our transformer models nowadays is not that different from the original perceptron that Frank Rosenblatt developed in the 1940s, and we still train our models with a kind of variation of the backpropagation algorithm developed by Paul Verbus in the 1970s. So most of the stuff we are looking at actually is already quite old and quite established, and what has changed, and you have outlined it at the beginning, is essentially the accessibility of computing power on the one hand, so and the accessibility of the data and the software. So what took me months to program in Fortran probably 20 years ago, now I can do it with my students in an afternoon. So I would be interested in your view, what makes this revolution special, right? I mean, it's not about algorithm. We have had the algorithms all the time, but what makes it special now, or what has changed in your view, or what did you notice in your studies? So it's a general question, because I always try to answer that for myself.
Look, I think first, I think it is a revolution, like the other were. So at the very minimum, it's a revolution like IT was, okay? So at the very minimum. But I think it goes further than previous revolution in automating the production of ideas, in improving the innovation technology. That's why I think it goes. Alors, you could say that there was a little bit of that already before, possibly. Sometimes we say, I don't know if it's Marx that said that, by the way, sometimes quantity becomes quality, you see, when, I think, was it Marx, I think, who said this, no? And so I think that AI, to a larger extent, automates, you see, tasks in the production of ideas. So it improves the innovation technology. And that, I think, is a big difference with that. Also, if you may want to look at my paper with Jones and Jones, of course, if you push that logic, AI could, we show the theoretical possibility of infinite output in finite time. But that's what we call singularity. But that's a theoretical possibility. But AI, I think that's the big thing with AI, is the automation of the production of ideas. I think that the other one, much more than previous. But then we can discuss on that. Then I had debates, with Yann Lequin. Yann Lequin is a big figure. He had the Turing Prize, and he's a big, big figure. I tried to argue, I said, for the moment, what AI cannot do, but it doesn't mean never. You can never say never. For the moment, I don't think AI can make Kuhnian innovation. You see what I mean? For example, even economics, I don't know if you made any Kuhnian, but some moment we said, a paradigm we don't like, we invent a new paradigm. Okay? We decide to throw away an old paradigm and to invent a new paradigm. Would AI do that? For the moment, I don't think it would. And I'm bothering all the time Yann Lequin with that. Okay? I said, Yann, AI can do a lot, but Kuhnian revolutions, deciding that something is unreasonable or something is cumbersome, could AI make you go from Newtonian mechanics to relativist mechanics or to quantum mechanics? You see what I mean? That I don't think it can now. Maybe tomorrow it could, but for the moment, it's recombinant. You see what I mean? AI is very much you recombine existing, okay? And you can go very far in recombining. In fact, there's been various papers written on recombining growth, okay? So you can do a lot with this. But Kuhnian revolution, where you throw away an old paradigm and you say, now I will go move it to... For example, I've seen that in economics. At some moment, people try to put firms in general equilibrium. And people like Oliver Hart said, hell with it, or Coase or other. We have to look at firms individually. And then we'll understand a lot about the hold-up problem, incomplete contracts. We should not... You remember Drez and others were trying to put firms in general equilibrium. They were going nowhere. And then some people said, let's hell with this. Let's go and look at the firm. But on growth, I don't know if I did a Kuhnian revolution. I'll be very immodest. But at some moment, I said, I love the solo model, but I want another model. And I want to, from scratch, write another growth model. Would AI do that alone? AI is a tool. For me, AI is a super tool that helps you do things. It's a super règle à calculer, quoi. But I don't think AI, for the moment, it can play the role of... I don't think, for example, you can replay the role of modeling, of yourself going between models and use your intuition, because there is a lot of intuition that you use. The human use judgment, intuition, things. AI doesn't reproduce all that. You see, I mean, at the moment, maybe I say never, I don't know. But at the moment, and when I mentioned that to Yann Lequin, for the moment, he doesn't have an answer to me. You see what I mean? So AI can do a lot of things, but I don't see for the moment that AI is replacing us. I think we have to make sure we are not dominated by AI. We need to be educated. We need to be trained. We need to be, to be up to it. To not, but I believe we can. You see, that's my way to look at AI. I don't see AI replacing a researcher. I think AI improving the research technology. But alors maybe bad researchers will be replaced, but the good researchers will not. Go on.
Yeah, I also don't see it in the immediate.
Yeah.
Another question. Yeah.
Ah. Oh God, I'm so sorry. Your book is a real nightmare. Sorry
Well,
for
I
that. I'm so sorry. Okay, development and computing power is not equal. Okay. Backward, as you mentioned, that's a good start. AI industry is almost monopolized, hardware, software. Computing is not equal, polarized, whatever. No, that's why it's important to push competition and to make, to adapt competition policy. It's important to adapt competition policy to the AI revolution. So you're absolutely right. You point at the fact that we need to adapt competition policy. You see, I had a debate with Thomas Philippon on the we are not far, but we are not exactly on the same line. Philippon thinks that the decline in growth and rising rents in the US is due to the fact that there was a deterioration of competition policy. My view is more that competition policy did not adapt to the AI revolution. You see what I mean? It's not so much that it deteriorated. It might have also, but it's very much that it did not adapt to the revolution, and that's more like the. But at the end, we still say you have to reform the competition policy.
Yes, so thank you for your presentation. I really like it, and I have a question about in the same topic, that how to improve the competition in the age where a lot of companies like Facebook, Meta, they control the infrastructure, and for the small firm, that it's really hard for them to compete with these big tech company in terms of attracting talent in AI, and the big firm always offer very big salary to attract the most talented people, and in the perspective of how we can these small company can do, not waiting for the regulation from the government and governing body.
Yeah. So first, one thing is that if you have, you need to regulate a bit, but you have too many regulations. It goes against competition, because the large firms know how to deal with they can employ people to help. It's like evading taxes. You see what I mean? They are very good at escaping at managing the heavy regulation. The small are not. So that's why it's very important when you look at regulations. You need some to protect individuals and all that, but you need to have not too many regulations, because that becomes an entry barrier to small firms. Okay, so that's an important. What would make it people attractive is that people, researchers, they don't want only money. Money is an important thing, okay, but they want also to have fun. In a small firm, you have much more initiative. You see what I mean? In a large firm, it becomes a bit bureaucratic. So that's why people go into small firms. They want also to be, they are after not only money, but they are also after their name. They see they want, I want to brand my name, I want to enjoy autonomy, flexibility. So you see, it's a bit like academic. You see what I mean? It's like basic research, we are not as well paid as if we were in private sector, but we enjoy freedom. So I've written on that. I've written academic freedom and private sector focus with Dewatt, Ripon, and Stein. And then I had the research. But there is this trade-off. You see, you are not only pursuing monetary returns. You want to have fun. And that can play. And that's why, there is but it's important that small firms get access to finance. That's why venture capital, all that is important, because they need to have, and that's also it may be important that the government gives them access to computing power and to all that. You see what I mean? That's important. But otherwise, I think there are a number of small firms in specialized areas, you see, the health and all that develop AI in particular fields. And they enjoy very much being small firms. You see what I mean? They would not be happy in large firms. You see, very often, by the way, people spin off, they have fun, and then may be rebought by large firms. But so I think it's not. But it's important to provide them not to overburden them with regulations, and to give them the financing they need. And that's where the venture capital is important. I think that's. Yeah. What time is it now? I don't know. 11:20. I have to go in at 11:30. Yeah. Okay.
I have a question just to make clear my mind. So when you insist on the role of the education, I interpret as follow, because there is a question about the demand. That means education is, I mean, we have to train to have good workers, but not only workers, but also entrepreneurs. That is very important, because the entrepreneurs should understand the demand of the population to create new firms, right? And then, in this case, it requires the intervention of the state to help these new entrepreneurs to have new firms. And then the policy of competition is also very important, right?
Not only the state. It's not only the state. Well, it's good that the state has, but the state should create an environment which is friendly to entrepreneurship. I think that's what you need. You need a good business climate. You need so you need to have good competition. So you need that's important. You need to have. Education is important because you have potential entrants. Because the potential entrants are educated entrepreneurs, exactly as you say. So that's what the government can help. It's very much with horizontal policies first. I mean, the policies that affect all sectors. So competition, education, that's very important. And to also not prevent things. You see what I mean? So to let venture capital flourish. That's also what the government should not do. You see what I mean? There are things that government can do, and the government should not prevent. You see, so if you have the good environment, venture capital, education, competition, with those three things already, you have. And on some areas which are strategic, you can have smart industrial policy, but it has to be pro-competition. You see, so that's the difficulty. You should make sure that competition industrial policy does not get in the way. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Because recently I discussed with a person in charge of the education in Vietnam, and she told me, that is a lady, she told me, no, we are not just interested in technology, in techniques, and economics and management. We don't care. But I think that is a danger. That is a danger, because we need good managers, need people who knows economics, not only the technical side. So.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, absolutely. It was
Yes.
not a question.
No, not the question.
What about pollution induced by artificial intelligence?
We mentioned that in the. I think we mentioned that in the report. We don't have anything. It's a big area. So it's true. Computing power uses energy. But on the other hand, AI can help manage energy resources. You see what I mean? So I haven't seen yet a paper that tries to look at the overall effect. You see what I mean? AI is a big consumer of energy, but on the other hand, AI can help rationalize the use of energy. And for the moment, I haven't seen, there might be such studies, but I haven't seen them. It's a big area, because I work both on the AI and green innovation, but I haven't worked yet on the intersection between AI and green. And I think that's a big topic. Alors, we mentioned it in the report, but we don't have any. Voilà, we just mention it. We don't. It's still open research.
Okay, I think that we should stop now.
Yeah, I think we.
Thank you so much. It was really, really
Thanks so much.
stimulating and enriching. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
And
Thank you.
from the crowd.
Thanks for inviting me.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, I present